Hey guys, welcome back. So I am back with yet another wonderful small business owner. This time I'm with my good friend. I can call you my good friend now, can't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think so.
My good friend Ali Casson. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
You're welcome.
Because like many people that I interview for my In Conversation With series here in my Facebook group, you'd rather not have a camera in your face, I think.
No.
And that's not uncommon actually. But I'm trying to help, gently push, nudge Alison out of that comfort zone for doing this. So thank you so much. It's ace.
Welcome.
I've wanted to interview you for absolutely ages. But for many reasons, it didn't quite happen, did it? For whatever reason, we had to cancel. No. And I'm so glad that they have been cancelled and that we've got the chance now, because I feel as though some of the things that you've been through as a business owner in the last couple of months, I'd say, for me have really changed you. And I feel as though this you is closer to the real you perhaps you were trying to seek.
Yeah, I wouldn't
during the
disagree
week
with that.
beforehand. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, or I'd rather, would you be able to tell the viewers who are watching a little bit about what it is that you do and your purpose, your why?
Yeah, well, I'm an interior designer, and my why, it's twofold in terms of why I'm doing it. One is I'm doing it very much for myself, because I'm a very creative person, but I've never actually worked within a creative environment. And secondly, I'm doing it for my family.
Yeah.
To be, I suppose, quite a good, I don't know if it's what I'm aspiring to be, but I think to do something that's for yourself makes you happier. So that reflects in your family as well.
Yeah.
And I think that is quite a big driving force behind why.
But what you could have chosen anything. Yes, you are creative. So why did you land on interior design?
Well, that kind of, that happened organically in terms of how it came about. But I suppose in terms of, there was a passion that had been growing over a few years, simply from my background, probably of working in property, because that's all my working background, to then renovating a house. And I was at home with children, and I think that was my only creative outlet. And I actually became quite fixated on the interior of that house and looking for stuff.
Right. Okay.
And then I suppose that's how that developed. I didn't choose to do interior design, and it's funny because a friend, when we moved into this house, a friend did say to me when we were having a conversation one time about what I might do once the children got a bit older, and she suggested interior design, and I said no. Oh, absolutely not, I don't know anything about that.
But why? It's interesting that she saw that in you, that creativity, and put the two together. So why did you dismiss it?
Because I suppose because it's something I'd never done. I didn't feel I was the type of person that could just say, I'm going to do that now, if you see what I mean. Because I hadn't trained in it. I suppose coming from a generation, you almost feel like you need to train in something to do that. It's your job.
Yeah.
Not that I did in property, but that's where all my working background then worked up from. So I think that's just as simple as that. I wasn't trained in it, therefore I can't do it.
That fresh mindset, I suppose, where you've come to this, your this part of your career, this, your business. I feel as though you're unafraid to ask those questions that many small business owners, including myself actually sometimes, only ever think but never verbalise or vocalise it, particularly on social media. So questions such as, I've had this pitch, or this meeting fell through, or this didn't work out as I planned it. Is that normal? Is it just me? And I can't help but feel that side of you is that sense of vulnerability, which I think a lot of us have inside us, but never are quite prepared or brave enough to reveal.
Yeah, no, that is really interesting. I don't know, I don't see myself as, if anything, I'm one of those people that's like, oh gosh, I've just had that conversation with somebody. Oh, how did I come across? Oh, I don't suppose I think about it, to be honest. So it's quite a difficult question.
I feel as though I don't want you to think about it, because I think that's what's one of your greatest kind of assets, especially over the last few months, I would say. I feel as though in your social media posts, I feel as though there's just this wonderful, like, I want to say rawness, but I don't even know whether that's the right term. But it's just honest, and I love that. It's so fresh.
Well, I suppose there's a little bit of background there because I mentioned working in property earlier, and that's where my career started, and it started in the estate agency. But one of the reasons I think I know I stepped away from it was the perception of an estate agent and how people perceived an estate agent, which, you know,
we all have an image in our heads.
There is, and it's, 95% of the time that's incorrect. It's incorrect.
Yeah.
It's not always right. But I struggled with how people perceived me simply from a conversation of what do you do. And that was one of the reasons I stepped away from it. But I loved it because I love property. And that must be the link, I think, to now where interiors comes in. And I still do love property. I'm interested generally in spaces and both properties inside and outside.
And what is it about spaces? Design of spaces that really appeals to you?
I just think they're incredibly important in our lives. We can dress ourselves up and feel ace.
Yeah.
But if we don't feel comfortable within our environment, then that doesn't actually matter when we're in our home. Your home should be the sanctuary, and that is where you should be calm and you should be relaxed. Having said that, it does play out in workspaces as well, whether that be offices or restaurants or hotels. It's all the same. It's where we're choosing to spend time. And even if you're at work, why shouldn't you have the same? Surely an employer is going to get more out of an employee if they're relaxed and comfortable and inspired by their surroundings.
There's a key reason, I suppose, that the likes of, say, Google and Microsoft and Facebook have spent so much time and effort and probably got the right sort of experts in order to make that environment conducive to greater productivity.
And what I'm trying to do, I suppose, is I'm trying to look ahead. And I'm trying to think, where will we be in 5 years' time? Where will we be in 10 years' time? And I want to design things now that will be there and still age beautifully with time.
Do you feel that with the advent of social media, Pinterest, being able to save images that you're inspired by, do you feel as though a lot of people have lost that essence, their way, and they feel as though they ought to have a property look a certain way because it has to be Instagrammable, for instance?
I think there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think it obviously creates the need to buy. You see something, you want it, which actually goes slightly against the way that I feel about design, because for me it's about key pieces. It's about the more of the structure of the room, and rather than the soft furnishings. Obviously they are important.
So you pick the one key piece and you build a story for your space from that. So for instance, when you start working with a client and they say, do whatever you want, carte blanche, but then you start presenting designs and they go, actually, no, I don't want that. I want this, which is what I actually have in my head already. So actually, I don't want you. I just want you to affirm what it is I was designing.
Often people do get me in almost as a reassurance that they don't have the confidence to make the decisions themselves. But if I put a similar idea forward, then that just, that firms up for them. Okay. And then they'll move forward with it. I suppose what I'm looking to build my business upon are my principles in terms of design and my idea of design, which is all about simplicity. It's about designing in a way that will stand the test of time. It's about not making those knee-jerk purchases because you've seen something on Instagram and you're like, you want it. It's about thinking things through. And that's where I want my business to get to. I want to start people thinking a little bit more carefully about the purchases they make and the way they want their homes to be.
I wanted to talk to you about a common bugbear of probably most small business owners as they're starting out on something like Instagram, for instance, which I think is where it's more prevalent, is the whole notion of the follow-unfollow kind of rule. And we've talked about this sort of a number of times, haven't we? How do you wrap your head around that now?
I think one of the reasons it gets me so worked up, is that I use Instagram in a very particular way, and I'm very regimented in how I use it in terms of who I choose to follow. And I do say to a lot of business owners that I meet, I don't know if it's a little heads up or not, I'm not sure, but I don't follow like a lot of people I know on social media, on Instagram in particular. And the reason being is because I use Instagram for a lot of my inspiration. So I'm very selective about who I follow. I don't just follow everyone, because then what happens is your feed gets a little bit, because naturally you want to interact with those people, and then if I'm understanding Instagram correctly, then they start putting them at the top of the page every time, and then your feed gets clogged up with not necessarily things you don't want to see, because of course you want to interact with those people, but because I'm using it for my work inspiration, I want to be able to instantly see pictures of beautiful homes and houses and things.
You know, when I talk to business, I do say to them, look, curate your Instagram feed according to your values as a business owner, those of your potential customers' interests, and you know, key elements that sort of like are linked to your business field, etc. So you're doing the right sort of thing. Like, I can't help but feel you're curating it in a way that suits your purpose and your business desires and goals.
I like finding people, but that again comes back to maybe the business, in terms of when I first had the conversation with somebody about maybe starting a bit of a blog when I didn't know what I was going to do. And that was when interiors, lights, anything to do with interiors on the high street was still not hard to come by, but there was no made.com. There was none of the online high street interior brands that there are now. And I always enjoyed hunting things out and then finding them. And at that point in time, it was really difficult. There wasn't a lot here, and it was always Australia or America where you'd find this stuff. And that's where the whole conversation and where this business probably stemmed from. Because that conversation with one person about that topic then led to her contacting me a few months later to say, we're having an extension done. Will you help me come and design it? And then that is where this whole business has grown from. So when we go back to when we said it's grown organically, I didn't actually make that choice to do this. But then people kept asking me. So then I did make the choice to do it.
And then you've since married that natural creative essence that's always been within you. And married those two together, which is, and again, comes back to when we first started this conversation, which is this sense of a kind of freshness about you and what you do, and how you look at the business world, how you look at social media, either as a help or a hindrance to sort of like that development process.
It's ongoing though. I think because obviously it makes it look like everybody's running full steam ahead, that everyone's got so much work on. And
everyone's really busy.
Constantly feeling like,
I'm sat here twiddling my thumbs.
I'm really good at this. Am I? But I think I am. People have asked me this far. So why haven't I got a bit of that yet? You know, that we've talked about patience a lot, haven't we, in terms of setting up.
Neither of us have any.
But I think I'm learning, and I think again with these steps, you learn that.
And I think it's important for small business owners to be able to express themselves in that honest space with that element of truth. Because if we're to help each other get through those glitches and emerge the other side strong, that bit stronger, that bit more focused, we can only do that if we have and have that dialogue.
Absolutely.
So it takes people like you to be fresh and to be honest and show that vulnerability, as I keep describing it. I will stop saying that. Out there, so that people can say, do you know what? It's okay to talk about this that's happened, and do you know what? I'm not as busy as I was, but that's okay, because I've still got faith in what I do, and I still believe in that, and my purpose is still the same. And I know that in a few days, a few weeks, it will be better. Do you know what? I think we're going to wrap this up, but thank you so much for doing that. Have you enjoyed it?
Thank you for having me.
Have you enjoyed it? It's your house, by the way.
It makes
it's like ceremony.
It makes you look at things slightly differently. And we talk a lot, don't we?
We do.
So, I think we are quite open in terms of the way that we find running a small business. It's ups and it's downs, and that's what you need when you run a small business. You need that.
Has it been a pleasure?
It
has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope that you've enjoyed it as much as we have. But I will catch up with you guys soon. See you later.